I now call the City Council meeting to order. If all that would like to and are able to, please rise for the invocation, which will be a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by the Chair. Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes from the June 12th meeting have been received and they'll stand approved. There's no objections. We're now at resolutions and special recognitions. Mayor, you have the floor.
If I could ask our Director of Parks and Recreation, Coach Patterson, to come forward. Coach, we have someone we want to recognize today who is an all-state player, I believe.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. Yes, we've been recognizing several of our outstanding athletes the last few meetings, and tonight we have with us Whit Davis. Whit, come on up, please. Whit is a rising junior at Huntsville High School and had an outstanding accomplishment recently. He was named All-State as a 10th grader, as a sophomore, and he's a pitcher, first baseman. I think that's right, isn't it? Yeah, doing quite well. Hits the ball well, pitches well, and has got a great future here. So we want to recognize you tonight for your accomplishments this year.
And Whit is also the grandnephew, would that be, of Joe Davis, who was former mayor here and whose picture is right back there for 24 years. So congratulations. Your grand uncle would be proud to see you here.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Mr. President, we also, just as a recognition early tonight, we have a number of people here from City Finance, City Clerk's office, and who all work with our new financial package that we're talking about. Would y'all please stand so we can recognize you? These are some of the hardest working people we have here. So thank y'all for coming. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. We have a resolution for adoption only. It's a resolution recognizing the 2014 Davis family reunion to be held at the Country Inn and Suites by Carlson-Huntsville, July 4th through 6, 2014. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Shower, second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Dr. Showers.
Thank you, Mr. President. The City Council and Mayor of the City of Huntsville, Alabama, apprised that the Davis family reunion will be held on July 4th, 5th, and 6th at the Country Inn and Suites, Carlton, Huntsville, Alabama. The Davis family history extends back into the 19th century. However, there are no authentic records of documentation. Most of the history from the earlier years were oral and passed from generation to generation. Edmund Davis, the patriarch of the Davis clan, was blessed with 12 children, 5 sons and 7 daughters. The Davis family members were honest workers and strong believers in Christianity and the church. According to some of the early written records of Pine Grove Missionary Baptist Church, located in Madison, Alabama, Edmund Davis was one of the founding fathers of the church, which was originally called Pleasant Grove. Edmund, in addition to being a founding father and charter member, was also designated a trustee and later served as a deacon. The Davis family, from the inception of Pine Grove Missionary Baptist Church, has been stalwarts in the operation of the church. This legacy continued through the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generations. The Davis family also recognized the importance of education, and this tradition has been practiced by succeeding generations. The city of Huntsville is proud to have you here. not only because it gives us an opportunity to welcome many of you back home again, but also because your family represent one of the most cherished treasures, traditional family values. Many of you have traveled great distance to be a part of this shared experience. It is truly inspiring to learn that families such as yours still view unity as a sacred responsibility. The youth in your family will be richer to have participated in this wonderful reunion by continuing their family legacy. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council and the Mayor of the City of Huntsville, Alabama, that we acknowledge the Davis family and express best wishes for a successful reunion. Adopted and approved this 26th day of June, 2014. It is signed by the Mayor, Tommy Battle, Mark Russell, Bill Kling, John Oshesky, Will Covert, and Richard Showers Sr. Mr. President, I will be presenting this on behalf of the mayor and the council members on this particular date of July 4th, 5th, and 6th, 2014 at the Country Inn and Suites by Carlton here in Huntsville, Alabama.
Thank you, sir. Tonight on the agenda, 15B and C have been deleted. 15B and C have been deleted. As Mayor Battle had mentioned, we have many people here from the city's finance department, and at this time, we are going to do a presentation on the information revolution. Mr. Taylor?
I'll start off, Mr. President. This financial information system is very important to the city of Huntsville. Our mission statement for the city of Huntsville is that we are committed to providing exceptional services to enhance the quality of life for all citizens through the efficient use of resources. Efficient use of resources is something we have to make sure that we do on a day-to-day basis here. And how you measure that efficiency is very important. We have been working on our financial systems that is 30 and 40 years old, and it's time to get into the 21st century with our financial system. It's time that we as a city have the information that we need to do the internal management that is necessary to be done. Our managers do a very good job on a day-to-day basis, but the job that you do is only as good as the information that you have in front of you and how current that information is. And with a 30 and 40-year-old system, it's very hard to keep current information in front of you. We provide all the information that is necessary to the outside agencies to do the reports that are necessary, but the internal information that a newer system that has the modern technology with it provides is one that provides us and makes us good stewards of the citizens' money. I would like to ask Mr. Taylor to come up to give us a presentation on this new system as it comes in. It's very important to the financial life of the city, not only for those big outside reports that you see on a day-to-day basis, but it's for the internal management of the city so that each manager can have the information at their fingertips that they need to provide a good, solid foundation for their decision-making process and to be good stewards with our money. Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, and before Mr. Taylor comes up, I just want to let the council know I served on the committee as our representative, and it's very important, as you all know, that we get good, solid information, and we've been expecting that from department heads for some time, and so it's really important that we consider this tonight because the department heads need to be confident they can give us good information, and this system will allow them to do that, and thus we'll be able to better manage the city. So looking forward to the presentation. It's going to be good, and the system will really help us and make us more transparent to our citizens that we represent. Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman Russell. We do want to give you just a brief presentation. Item 15AA on the agenda is a contract that we are asking for you to approve tonight, which will select Tyler Technologies as our vendor to both sell us the software that we are looking forward to having at the city, and also to help us implement that over the next 18 months. So some of this is review for you. We've been talking about it for a very long time. We've needed this system for a very long time. As the mayor mentioned, we operate in the finance department. Our core financial system is the oldest software that the city's running, we think. And it's the one that we use to pay our bills, keep up with all of our financial reporting obligations, and provide information to departments. There's a lot of people involved in operating that system. There's a lot of paper that moves around the city every day related to that system because it's old technology that was designed in the 70s and the 80s. We actually had sought to replace this system before the recession. The council had approved funding for it at that time, but because of our financial needs during the recession, that funding was delayed, and we had to start over, and we're now at the point where we can fund the project and move forward and make the changes we need to. So just a quick 2 slides that we want to show you, and then other departments that are critical to this project that are involved in it on a daily basis will also speak for just a couple of minutes, and we'll talk about everybody here in the room. This is what a general overview of our financial systems look like today. The biggest green object that you see on there represents that core financial system that is the oldest in the city. We have many other systems that feed information into that. Some of them do it automatically. Some of it do it with the help of people that cause that to happen. What we have sought to do for a long time, and what our goal is in this project, what we will succeed in doing in this project, is to integrate these systems so that they all operate, most of them operate on one platform. And so what we will accomplish within the next 18 months is a model that will look like this. We'll still have to have important mission critical systems that serve some of our department's unique needs. They will feed into a much larger core system that will provide us the modern tools we need to provide better information to our departmental customers and better information to the people that run the city, which is the mayor and the city council. So that's generally what this project is about. The finance department, of course, represents the finance and payroll aspects of this and the obligations that we have to you for that good information you already know very well. I want to hand this off right now to Chuck Haygood, who's our City Clerk-Treasurer, and he'll explain his role in that, and then we'll have other department heads present.
Thank you, Randy. The City Clerk-Treasurer Department collects and accounts for about 100% of the city revenue, which feeds into the main financial system. The current system is outdated and cannot be improved. The new system will greatly enhance the City Clerk-Treasurer Department's ability to collect and account for the city revenue, which will feed into the new system on a daily basis and be more up to date. The new financial system, will also have an accounts receivable system so that we can keep track of the money owed to the city and make sure that what we are owed, that we're paid. We're also, at this time, I'd like to thank Randy Taylor and Carlos Bowden for all the work that they have done on the process. They did a great job. And in closing, what we need is a new system altogether. Thank you.
All I'd like to do is just, Byron Thomas, Human Resources, just reiterate what has already been said. From a human resources perspective, as well as from our payroll division, we're excited about partnering with Tyler Technologies because it's going to give us a new system to help manage and pay our most important resources, which is our employees. We have over 2,250 employees, and so that system is going to allow us to better manage that. Also, the new system will provide some more features and updated technology that's going to help us meet our city's growing needs. So we're excited about the partnership, and we want to thank Randy and Carlos as well as the whole entire team that's been working on this project to get us where we are now.
Hey, good evening. I'm Bill Steiner, Director of IT. I want to tell you your IT department is very excited about this project. Like Mr. Taylor alluded to a few years ago, we got our hopes up and then the economy dashed those. But primarily we're really excited about this just because that big green block you saw on the prior slide, and I can say, just like Mr. Taylor said, that system dates back to the mainframe that the city was running on back in the early 80s. We had that mapper system on the mainframe. We've been running on that ever since, not the mainframe, of course, but that. So we're really looking forward to the updated software. Our HR and payroll system, again, we kind of hit a dead end with that a few years ago in hopes that we were going to finance a new system. So we've been kind of limbo. Very excited about that. Very excited about that. Tyler as a selection is wonderful because it implements and integrates with everything we use right now. We've got SQL Server. It's already fully licensed. It exports its information to Word and Excel. It works off SharePoint. So it's going to fit right in, and I think the IT folks are going to love it, and I think the city will love it. And again, thank you to the team.
I want to explain to you briefly the process that we went through before you make a decision, council members, on this significant contract and the significant effort that's going to take us, as we've said, about 18 months. This is a project that requires us to competitively evaluate the vendors that offer these kinds of software and services to us, and that's what we've been doing for almost the past year. A large group of people was involved in helping define what the city wanted to request from the vendor community. We released that request for proposals last July and then received the responses back from a number of vendors in August. We've been evaluating those proposals since that time. Beginning early this calendar year, we went through the process of narrowing that list to the ones that we felt could best meet our needs and then evaluated them at a much deeper level. At this time, I want to refer, Chuck and others have been generous about their comments, but it really has included all of the people on our project evaluation team from all of the departments, and that represents not only finance, clerk, treasurer, and but also human resources, ITS, and other departments that have helped us understand their needs so that we can provide what we consider to be our customers things that help them accomplish their mission. So at this time, I would like to ask the people that were on the ERP implementation team to stand again. We can't introduce everybody by name in the interest of time, but if y'all will do that. They represent all of the departments that we've mentioned. So you do need to recognize the work that these people have put in for a long period of time. Some of them have spent a lot of time on the phone. Some of them have visited places in the snow and almost got stuck in places in the snow. Spent a lot of time with customers of the different vendors. So I would ask that you recognize these people's efforts in giving you the confidence you need to award this contract. So.
Thank you.
We are recommending to you tonight that you award the contract to Tyler Technologies. They're a company that has an established Munis product that's operated in the public sector for a very long time. The representative from the company will speak in just a moment. I would like to now hand off the presentation to Carlos Bowden, who you've met before. He is our ERP Systems Project Coordinator, and he will talk about what is going to happen after the award of this contract and what we can look forward to, and then introduce Tyler. Thank you.
As Randy has said, this project's going to take about 18 months. It's going to need the combined efforts of our own ITS department, experts from Tyler, and administrative personnel from every department in the city. It's a big project. I've got every confidence, based on what I've learned since I've been here, that this is going to be successful. Everywhere I've been, and I've been to every department, everyone says they're ready to be done with the old system. They're eager for this. In fact, that one person today asked, can we go live tomorrow? We have already started forming leadership teams that are going to focus in certain areas like payroll and purchasing and grants and projects. And I've invited some of those to be here tonight. If you're on one of these teams, would you please stand?
There we go.
Yeah, you know who you are. Come on. All right. What happens after tonight, if you approve this contract, is we will, in 45 days, have a kickoff event. In the meantime, we'll be installing hardware and software. After that, there's a detailed process. We'll have a detailed plan that we'll execute, and there'll be lots of time for testing. And so when we go live, we'll have a high confidence level that it'll be successful. At this time, I'd like to introduce David Regnery, representing Tyler Technologies, who will tell you about the company.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is David Regnery. I'm with Tyler Technologies. We're thrilled to have been selected by the City of Huntsville. It was a long process. Selection process was very thorough. What I would like to tell you about Tyler is a little bit about the company. We're probably the largest software company that nobody has ever heard of. In the public sector, we're the largest software company that is focused exclusively on the public sector. We have about 11,000 local governments across the United States using some of our software applications. Not only do we provide ERP systems, which is what the city is considering now, but we also have public safety, courts and justice, tax and appraisal. So virtually any software solution that a local government has a need for, Tyler has a solution for. We've been in business since 1966. Again, we're focused exclusively on the public sector. I think we have about 1,400 local governments using the Munis ERP system. We're publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange, which is, I think, important because we do provide you with the transparency of our financial capabilities. And I would like to turn it over to the City Council and the Mayor. If you have any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Council members, we will take this up at 15AA. If you have any specific questions for the vendor rep, it's certainly fun to ask them now, but we'll have a motion at 15AA. Mr. Culver?
And this is kind of a rhetorical question, but having gone through this myself in terms of switching to a new system, just some concerns. Are you going to run, when you're getting ready to transition over to the new system, are we going to run both systems simultaneously in case there are glitches and things that have to be fixed? How do you do that?
We'll do some parallel testing through the process. We'll actually run our system in multiple databases. You'll have a live database, a test, and a training database. So we'll thoroughly test your solution and as well as our implementation process is set up that we don't move forward from one phase to the next until it's been tested, and both parties, Tyler and the representatives from the City of Huntsville, have signed off that they're happy with the results.
I'm just concerned about the risk of losing, data or anything. But
No, we have 1,400 local governments. I'm not aware of a single instance where we've lost data. We have our own conversion department, so as long as your IT department can provide us with the data in electronic format, we'll convert that data. We'll also have the historical data as well.
okay, great. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, this will be discussing this under 15AA and voting tonight. Is there anything else you'd like to present? Thank you. We will take this up later in the meeting. Mr. Culver.
If I may, if I could digress for a minute, I do have a resolution that I would like to make a motion for introduction and approval.
Okay, can you tell us what the resolution is?
Yes, sir, I can.
Just briefly describe
It's
it.
a resolution recognizing Miss Ann Gurley, who expired within the last week. She was a City of Huntsville employee, was instrumental in our court referral program. I'd like to make that motion for introduction and approval at this meeting tonight, sir.
Okay, and council members, will need unanimous consent to vote on this tonight. The chair moves for unanimous consent.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Mr. Olszewski. Mr. Kling.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We have unanimous consent. Mr. Culver, you'll make the motion to approve this resolution.
Motion to approve?
Second.
A second by Mr. Showers. Is there discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Please go ahead.
I'd like to just share a brief portion of this for those of you who maybe didn't know Ms. Gurley, but this resolution reads, whereas the City Council and the Mayor of the City of Huntsville, Alabama, are apprised of the passing of Ms. Shirley Ann Gurley, who began in 1986 serving as the only court referral officer in all Madison County. Her funeral services to be held on Friday, June the 27th, 2014 at 12 p.m. at the Matkins Chapel, Cumberland Presbyterian Church in America, with Pastor India Scruggs officiating. And whereas Ann attended William H. Council High School and Alabama A&M University, she began working in substance abuse in 1976 in treatment, prevention, and intervention programs, was employed as the court referral officer in 1986, and performed some probation responsibilities in the City of Huntsville Municipal Court, Madison County District Court, and Circuit Courts. She was a certified addiction counselor with both state and national certification. And whereas she appeared regularly in municipal court, district, circuit, and conducted evaluations and provided recommendations to the courts for treatment programs. In addition to her work as court referral officer, she was also a certified DUI instructor for Level 1, Level 2 programs, and was the only court referral officer and DUI instructor in Madison County with a national certification in addiction and counseling. And whereas Ann had over 25 years of work experience in the field of alcohol and drugs, She assisted in the certification of the court referral program throughout the state of Alabama and facilitated training statewide for both court referral officers and supervisors in 1988. She was named Counselor of the Year by the Alabama Association of Addiction Counselors in 1992. And whereas Ann was a mother of 3 loving children, 2 daughters, Hattie Gurley Boyd and Kriska Gurley, and a son, Marcus Gurley. And whereas her many contributions to the Huntsville-Madison County legal community is well known, and she was nominated and presented the 1999 Liberty Bell Award. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council and the Mayor of the City of Huntsville, Alabama, that we wish to recognize and commend the work and the person of Shirley Ann Gurley for her dedicated awareness, attention, and diligence to the improvement and betterment of life for those she served. Her career and accomplishments will not soon be forgotten, and her service to those who couldn't always help themselves will be long remembered. I will be presenting this on tomorrow on behalf of the mayor and council, and we're also blessed to have with us this evening Mr. Wallace Dorning, who was the court administrator for the City of Huntsville Municipal Court since its inception, and I know that he likewise will comment on the services of Ms. Gurley. Mr. President, that is all I have, sir. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Culver, second by Dr. Showers. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. If anybody was here just for the resolutions for the presentation, now would be a good time to leave if you don't want to stay for the business meeting. But you're welcome to stay.
Department heads need to stay, please.
We have no business with outside legal representation. We do have public hearings to be held. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on a resolution authorizing the City Clerk-Treasurer to assess the cost of the cutting and removing of grass and weeds against certain properties. Mr. Binion?
Yes, this resolution identifies 27 properties that were in violation of the city's grass and weed ordinance. These properties are identified on attachment A by the owner and location. The owners received a written notification by regular mail that they were in violation of our ordinance and were given 14 days to correct the violation. All 27 owners failed to respond, and community development issued work orders to cut these properties at a total cost of $6,255.51 and an average cost of $231.69. Attachment A also identifies the date and cost for cutting these properties. The owners received a written request by regular mail for payment, and they failed to respond, so I'm requesting that property assessments be placed on these properties in order to collect our costs. The owners were notified of this proposed action and could wish to speak tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Binion. Does anyone from the public wish to address the council on this particular issue? Public hearing is now closed. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Motion by the chair, second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance number 14-316 to amend Article 15, Residence 2B District Regulations, Section 15.1, uses permitted to add single-family attached dwellings as a permitted use. Ms. Leto?
Lisa Leto, Planning Division. Yes, this would add single-family attached dwellings, commonly known as townhomes, to the Residence 2B District. Residence 2A District permits all types of residences, including single-family attached dwellings. Residence 2B District permits all types of residential uses except for single-family detached dwellings. And interestingly enough, it does allow semi-detached dwellings, which are 2-unit townhome buildings. When townhomes were first added to the zoning ordinance back in 1979, they were added to Residence 2 and Residence 2A districts, but not to Residence 2B districts. I went back and looked through the minutes for Planning Commission and City Council, and there was no mention of Residence 2B. The only issue was to make sure that they were not added to the single-family districts, Residence 1 through 1B. We've had requests throughout the years to build townhomes in Residence 2B district. Developers had to go through the rezoning process in order to do that. And so we'd like to just simply add the townhomes to the Residence 2B district.
Thank you, Ms. Leto. Does anyone from the public wish to address the council on this particular issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Showers, second by Mr. Culver. Discussion?
Question.
Mr. Kling?
Lisa, I guess just to avoid any confusion, at the work session last week, we had heard from neighborhoods about the impact of group homes and the like coming into their neighborhood. This right here has absolutely nothing to do with the group homes that we were discussing about, or the concept of that, does it?
No, sir, these are single-family, fee simple, attached townhomes.
Just want to clarify that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance 14-318 to amend Article 74, non-conforming lots, non-conforming uses of land, non-conforming structures, and non-conforming uses of structures and premises by deleting the existing section 74.1, non-conforming lots of record, and by adding a new section 74.1, non-conforming lots of record and unified lots. This was set May 2014 at the regular council meeting. Ms. Leto?
Yes, this would add some definitions and some regulations to the existing non-conforming lots of record, unified lots. You see these definitions that we've added here for affiliate, common ownership, contiguous lot, non-conforming lot of record, and unified lot. And to put it simply, a non-conforming lot of record is a lot which was platted prior to 1963. And you see those lots, of course, in the older areas of town, and they are lots that, due to their size, would not meet the current zoning for those, the current zoning requirements for the district in which they're in. We can scroll down here, and you can also see that we've added these two paragraphs here. Paragraph 1, the contiguous lot shall be deemed merged into a single lot to the extent necessary to create a lot that is sufficient to meet the minimum lot width, lot area requirements for the given district without leaving a substandard residual lot. And to give you an example, in some of the older areas of town, you'll have a house that may be built across 2 or 3 lots. And in some cases, people have torn that house down and built 3 smaller homes on those 3 lots, which may or may not be out of character with the neighborhood. So this is to maintain the existing character of the neighborhood. And where a substantial residual lot or lots would be left by the merger, then the residual lot or lots would be included by the merger to form a single lot. That's saying that once you have those lots, if you can create lots that meet the zoning district, that's fine. But if they cannot, they have to be merged and considered a single lot. Paragraph 2, where contiguous lots, at least one of which is a nonconforming lot of record, are under common ownership and each have a principal structure on the lot, then the nonconforming lot of record may retain its status as such and not be deemed merged into a single lot, but only so long as the principal structure is not abandoned. And that's saying if you have 2 homes on 2 separate lots under common ownership, even if those lots are nonconforming, if something happens to those homes, you can build them back unless you intentionally demolish them. And under unified lots under common ownership are deemed to be merged. And a unified lot, if we go back to the definition, is a lot where 2 or more contiguous lots that are so integrated through common or dependent structures or reliance on the whole to meet setback requirements as to form a unified whole. And simply what that means, if you have 2 or more lots and your house, say, crosses one of the lot lines, or you have your garage on one of the adjacent lots, those lots are considered as one lot. They're considered combined once you cross the lot lines.
Okay. Anything else on this?
No, sir.
Okay. Does anyone from the public wish to address the council on this particular issue? Ms. Reed, if you'll state your name and address for the record.
Jackie Reed, 1008 Bob Wallace Avenue. I guess this whole thing confuses me, and it's hard for us to hear what she says back here. But anyway, what's non-conforming uses of land?
Ms. Leto, if you'll answer Ms. Reed's question, please.
A non-conforming use of land would be a use that was put in place, say, before the zoning ordinance. And once that district, the requirements for the district are put in place or changed, that use can continue until it's intentionally abandoned. For instance, if you had a car dealership in an area that is on neighborhood business C1, car dealerships are not allowed under C1. But if that car dealership was there prior to the zoning ordinance or prior to that land being rezoned, it can stay until it's intentionally abandoned.
What, Ms. Reed, sorry to interrupt. Can y'all hear in the back of the room? Can y'all hear Ms. Leto? Okay, sorry. Okay,
Need
go
to
ahead,
turn
Ms.
my
Reed.
hearing aid up. I don't have one, but I need to get me one.
Okay.
Anyway, I need to ask her, why do we keep changing ordinances and zoning and all of this stuff? Is it for particular districts? Or why do we keep changing ordinances and zoning and all this kind of stuff? I'm always been confused about this thing.
Sure.
Is it, we
Thanks.
got to update?
Things change, yeah.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Leto, you want to add anything to that?
We live in a dynamic world. Things change every day. New uses are created, new situations arise, different housing types arise. It's just the world's constantly changing, and we have to keep up with that.
Thank you. Does anyone else from the public wish to address the council on this particular issue? The public hearing is now closed. Council members and the public, I have several questions about this, and I need to run it by some neighborhoods that I represent, particularly older neighborhoods, and I've talked to the administration a little bit, and I'd like to move we postpone this until the July 24th meeting.
I'll second that.
Second that. All those in favor of postponement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. It'll be postponed. We'll take it up July 24th. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance number 14-320, zoning newly annexed property lying on the west side of Dug Hill Road and north of Rain Tree Road to Residence 1 District. This was set May 8, 2014 at the regular council meeting. Ms. Leto?
Yes, this is 0.99 acres of property. It's the hatched area that you see here. It's an existing single-family detached dwelling. The proposed zoning is Residence 1 District, which is consistent with the other properties in that area.
Thank
And
you.
Planning Commission's recommended approval.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak to the council on this particular issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance number 14-322, zoning newly annexed property lying on the north side of Mohawk Road and west of Taylor Road to Residence 1A District. This was set May 8, 2014 at the regular council meeting. Ms. Leto?
This is 1.16 acres of property. There's an existing single-family detached dwelling located on the property. It's the hatched area that you see here. The proposed zoning is Residence 1A District, which is consistent with the adjoining properties.
Thank you. Does anyone from the public wish to address the council on this particular issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. We have one public hearing to be set. We have a resolution to set a hearing for suspension of licensure for Everlight Business, Inc. This will be set for the July 10th regular council meeting at 6 p.m. Move to set the hearing.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All those in favor of setting the hearing say aye. Opposed? It carries. We're now at communications from the public. When I call your name, please come to the microphone. You'll state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the council. Lee Ellison.
Thank you. My name is Lee Ellison. I live at 3217 Hastings Road in Huntsville.
Welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor and honorable members of the council, I've come to direct your attention to the growing problem of an expanding coyote population in the Lower Piedmont area, Lower Piedmont, Thornton Acres, Cedarhurst areas. A family of coyotes is living in the general area around Westchester Wingate Avenues between Kirkwood Heights and Lower Piedmont in a culvert there. It's been seen. This family is growing. We have an active neighborhood, excuse me, I've written it so I won't take too much of your time. We have an active neighborhood watch website. In the past month or so, residents have posted 3 cats have been taken by coyotes, 1 small dog is missing, 2 dogs have been missing have been attacked in Cedarhurst. Coyotes are predators. Coyotes have been seen walking toward the Piedmont pool in daylight. That's where our children go to swim. A photo of a coyote on Westchester was taken in daylight within the past couple of weeks. These have all been posted on the Neighborhood Watch website and some of them on the ClickFix website. A Westchester resident who saw a coyote told me today that her grandchildren are no longer allowed to play in her front yard because of the coyote. That picture of the coyote was taken as it walked past their house. That's a shame. If nothing is done, the problem will get worse, not better. These coyotes have been seen with pups. And I understand that coyotes have long been residents of urban areas, but the increase in population is a big concern. Huntsville Animal Services has said that coyotes are not a danger to people. They posted a statement to that effect on the ClickFix website. They suggest in that post that we in the neighborhood don't feed cats and dogs outside, that we don't fill bird feeders, and that we don't mulch our gardens or use compost, because those things are liable to encourage coyotes. A coyote can be a danger to people. Nobody can predict when that will occur. Earlier today, I sent Bill Kling an excerpt of a Wikipedia article about coyotes attacking people, mostly children. It lists 35 documented attacks in California 1978 to 2003, and an additional 22 documented attacks in other places 2007 to 2013. A disclaimer on the article states that these are not complete lists. I lived in Los Angeles for 18 years. We saw little articles in the paper way too often about a child stumbling into the path of a coyote when a parent turned away to answer a phone or to answer something, and the child said, "Oh, look, doggy." It's dangerous. One example from the Wikipedia site said, and I quote, "On August 24th, 2011, before noon, a 2-year-old Weymouth, Massachusetts girl was walking next to her stroller with her grandmother when a coyote lunged out of some hedges along the sidewalk in a suburban residential neighborhood. The animal attacked from behind, knocked the child down, and bit her on the back of her head, leaving a somewhat large wound. The grandmother was having trouble saving her from the coyote when a neighbor came out of a nearby house and got the pair into the house, shutting the coyote outside, where it stayed listening while the homeowner dialed 911.
Ma'am, do you need more time?
Have I gone over my 3 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
I have
1 minute.
Sure, go ahead and finish.
Thank you. Says the authorities, the girl was taken to the hospital to have her scalp stitched and began a series of rabies treatments. And it seems to me, and what I'm asking tonight, is that we might be better off taking preventative action here than waiting until a child stumbles into the path of one of these coyotes. And that's what I came to ask you, please, to do what you can to help resolve this situation and make our neighborhoods safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Mr. Kling.
Ms. Ellison sent me the articles, which I forward copies over to the council members and the mayor and some of the other staff people. It does seem like there is some, something very significant about this. In fact, I was one of the people who actually received a copy of this coyote, which looks basically like a dog, but with an extra large head on it. And if you really don't know what you're looking for, you go up to them, you could be in some serious trouble. I guess I'd like to see if Miss Ellison and Dr. Shepard's over there. I don't know if she wants to comment now, but at the very least, I'd like to see if the two of them could meet and talk and see if there's some sort of plan of action. This isn't the first time that we've had this type of issue that's come to me, but I think it is something significant that we need to see what can be done to prevent it from getting worse.
Karen Shepard, Animal Services. Yes, I've had similar discussions with probably a couple hundred people about the concerns they have about coyotes. And I can't dismiss the fear and the anxiety, and I think just talking through it will really help. But pet dogs, end up causing close to 50 deaths every year in the United States. And often, we're more worried about coyotes, and I'm not trying to dismiss it, but, dogs are dangerous compared to coyotes. So we'll talk through it, and there might be some things to do to help. But so much of the problem with urban wildlife is we create such a safe, plenty of food, plenty of places for them to have their pups, have all the different babies, raccoons, skunks, snakes, deer, and they just love living here. And they become desensitized, and they're out during the day. And coyotes will stop and look at you, and instinctively you really feel like they're going to come and get you. And they can cause problems. Southern California really has some unusual situations, and they believe that they actually are crossbreeding with some of the feral dogs in the area, and that's making them much more dangerous. New Mexico and Arizona also have some problems, and it worries me. I worry that eventually we'll have that, in Alabama. But we'll talk through it, maybe have a community watch meeting, and I can go on some of those streets and look. I've actually driven down your street trying to find, the ditch that y'all were talking about, because I know a lot of people that live there, and I know their cats and their dogs. So that's my main anxiety, are the pets, as far as on the threat list. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I guess one last comment, Dr. Shepard, please keep in mind that if we see a dog out on the street, there's a pretty good chance that that dog has been vaccinated for rabies, and I don't think too many coyotes have been taken to the veterinarian.
Yeah, especially at,
it's a serious,
yeah, but, that's it. We're not having trouble with rabies, cross my fingers right now in our community. We look for it, and there are problems with it in lower Alabama, but we're very protected with the bait dropping along the lower Appalachians. So we've not had a case of rabies in our county for many, many years. But yeah, so a lot of those dogs that attack people are not vaccinated, so just a little fact.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. Next up is, I may mispronounce his name, Kaja Bond, C-A-J-A. Ms. Bond, if you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor Battle and members of the council. My name is Kaya Bond, and I live at 13073 Hermosa Drive. Can y'all hear me okay?
If you could put the microphone directly in front of your face. Thank you.
One of my best friends in this world is not a person, he is a dog. I rescued him from a kill shelter, and his time was almost up. I am here to speak for those like him that will not be rescued. Huntsville can set a trend that speaks of the moral values that we all hold dear by becoming the first no-kill community in our state. Many of you who have a beloved pet are already aware of the immeasurable gifts that they bring. The benefits of having a pet extend well beyond companionship. Decades of research have shown we get more exercise, have less stress, and have consistent emotional support. The American Heart Association cites several studies that show owning a pet reduces cardiovascular disease and increases survival for those who have had a heart attack. Without a doubt, there is simply no way to put a price tag on the unconditional love that they bring into our lives. We can, however, put a price tag on the killing and disposal of these precious beings in our city kill shelter, and that price is negative revenue for our city. The unfortunate reality is that every week, animals are destroyed at our city's kill shelter, most of which are healthy, treatable, and adoptable. By turning Huntsville into a no-kill community, this monetary figure becomes positive, and so becomes a win-win situation for the citizens and for the animals. There are hundreds of people in our great city who have rescued an animal from a kill shelter, or have rescued a stray dog or cat with no other place to go. Their actions speak louder than words. Their actions are a public outcry. The killing of these helpless and innocent animals in our city may seem like an easy solution, but it is simply unethical and morally wrong. It is our responsibility to make this change now. It's time for us to quit being complacent with the status quo and bravely step forward into a new way. Together, we can add to Huntsville's recognized assets of Southern hospitality and being one of the premier places in the South to live, work, and raise a family by also becoming recognized as one of the most kind and compassionate cities in our state. And No-Kill Huntsville would be a change we could all be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hamilton, I know you've been working on this issue. Do you have anything to add?
Mr. President, we are actively right now developing a strategy to reduce the euthanasia in our shelter. In fact, I had the opportunity last week to kind of do an update to a number of the groups that ultimately will have to partner with us for us to make progress in that area. I thought it was a pretty productive meeting, and Councilman Olszewski was also able to be there. And so I think we're headed that way. There's a lot of statistics related to how this community has dealt with the animals. It's all headed in the right direction. Part of what we looked at was what's our statistics for the last few years, and to really get even close to the goals that we all share, we've got to reduce the intake at the shelter, and our community's actually made a lot of progress with much more progress to go. But I think we have a pretty good sense of where we stand today. We've got some programs in place that are really contributing to that progress, but we have a long way to go. And so we are actively working those things. And we recognize that it's not going to be the animal shelter that gets there. It's going to be the entire community that gets there. And there's a lot of private organizations that stand ready to partner with us in that process. So I think we're making progress. It's not something you achieve overnight. It's going to be a multi-year process, but I think we're headed in the right direction with the most important thing being there's a lot of work yet to be done to get there.
Thank you, sir.
And Mr. President, I might mention, when I first came into office, one of the worst reports you got was the report that we had 10,000 animals intake and 3,500 adopted out, and the others were euthanized. And we started working on that from day one. We are now down to, I believe our number last year was 6,900 or 7,500 was the intake because of spay and neuter programs and less production of unwanted animals. And we were adopting out about, I believe it was 4,500 animals. We're still not where we want to be, but we're moving towards that, and we're moving quickly. If we just dealt with the city of Huntsville animals, we would probably be there right now, but we deal with the city of Huntsville and Madison County because we are the collection point for all Madison County, and there's still work to be done, as Mr. Hamilton says, and we're committed to working with those groups. It has to be a partnership to make it successful. It can't be just the city of Huntsville doing it. It has to be a partnership with everybody, so we look forward to working with everybody.
Thank you, Mayor. Chandra Jones. Ms. Jones, if you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Chandra Jones, 1100 Chestnut Road.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Battle, elected City Council members, and citizens. I am a concerned parent, community advocate, and citizen who would like to see addressed the increase in youth shootings and gun violence for the North Precinct of Huntsville. From local news coverage, statistics there have been 10 reported shootings for this precinct, and 3 which have occurred in the last month. Several of these shootings have occurred at hours close to or well beyond midnight and in areas with little or no adult supervision. 4 solutions that I feel would be feasible include a citywide curfew for all youth under the age of 17, parental and teen fines and educational classes for those violating curfew, increased police coverage in known areas where youth hang out, more stringent background checks for individuals purchasing guns. I am well aware that there may be other solutions that the council members have considered or others that may have been proposed by other concerned citizens. However, the bottom line is today, I am seeking your leadership and political influence to begin the conversation that will spawn the development for the infrastructure and support needed for the implementation of legislative changes, programs, and/or education that will lead to the decrease in youth shootings and gun violence. My prayer is that these and other solutions do not fall on deaf ears that will go recorded as mere minutes for today's meetings with no action. My prayer is that these spoken words begin the dialogue for productive, meaningful, and transformative discussions, research-based studies, the implementation of feasible solutions, and desired outcomes that will bring about true change for our youth and our city. Community members, I also ask each of you to be reflective and look within yourselves and your circles of influence and begin to have meaningful, productive, and transformative discussions of your role, your commitment, and your willingness to assist and to evoke action regarding our city and youth. I'm seeking each of you to be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. There is power in unity and agreement, and our combined efforts should bring resolution that complete and does not compete. Thank you for your attention and willingness to serve, and I look forward to being a part of the wave of change that will significantly decrease or eliminate youth shootings and gun violence.
Ms. Jones, we have one other speaker on violence, and after they speak, then we'll get the police chief up here and we'll talk about it, if that's okay, council members. Mr. Wallace Dorning.
Wallace Dorning,
3215 Waterman Drive, Southeast 35763. Mr. Mayor, City Councilman, I am president of the Space City chapter of Alabama Retired Employees Association. There are now approximately 1,000 City of Huntsville employees that is retired. We request and need your support for the 2014 bonus. We must have your support before 1 August 14. You do not have to fund this bonus up front. You have 2 years in which to pay. A note, I was fortunate and hired Ann Gurley. I have this in my notes before I've talked to Mr. Cover tonight. And Ann will not be getting her bonus. Her funeral will be tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orning. Ms. Jackie Reed?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. I want to thank the lady about the crime in Huntsville, Alabama, and the retirees. I support both of the last two speakers. If anything I can do, and we need to push you all to help this matter, I'd be happy to be a part of it. Thanks for allowing public input. I want to thank all the citizens who care and want to know about their government and what's going on around them. Government affects everybody's life one way or the other every day. I want to thank you for sharing information resolution systems. I'm glad to hear of the update that's needed. I want to thank to all the employees and all the people that worked on this. I have two questions. One is the cost of it for the 18 months. I don't have a problem with it. I don't care what it costs. We need it, but we would like to know at the cost of it. I would also like to see a program update to see the needs of every department, what they need to give the quality of life to the city of Huntsville. I understand we got one street sweeper, so if we could pull a program in out of some of this stuff and see what they need to run the city with and do a good job. Also, in this program, if they could come up with a way to help tell you all how to spend our money. That'd be the best program the city could come up with. I'd help fund that if I could. I'd like to see you clean up the weeds in the city and the bushes that are hovering the main roads. When you drive onto a main road, the bushes and the weeds, we need to have an ordinance and get them down or fine them. I'm sorry about that. There's weeds on College Park. A lady told me the other day over off of Holmes Avenue that the Cancer Center has allowed, they've cut down trees and bushes, and it's growing up to be a forest over there. I hate to bring this up, but I got to. It's affecting the neighborhood. And also on Holmes Avenue, UAH is turned into a wilderness. They used to keep it cut, but it's a wilderness. There's a wilderness over here on Holmes Avenue, too, where you all are doing Pinhook Creek, and it's been there for 15 years. So when you get Pinhook Creek like you want it, I ask you once again, you tell me every time it's not for a water river walk, but I'm sure that it's going to be. But anyway, those weeds need cleaning out around that railroad track. I wish everyone a happy 4th of July, a safe and happy July. I hope nothing don't really happen to you. There's a city election August the 26th, 2014, in this city. 3 school board members and some council members. Government should work every day of the year, 365 days a year. Don't come up with all these sweet goodies and sweet things at election time. I want to hear it every time I come in this council, what we need to do for the quality of life to help these people. And do you all have anything to do with the mosquito truck? Help. We need mosquito trucks running in the city. If you're not funding them, find some money and help us. Also, we need new
Ms. Reed,
police cars.
Ms. Reed, do you need more time?
I got 2 more issues.
Councilmember, is that okay?
The Coca-Cola plant's really bothering me over there. Do y'all have an interest in it? Have you got a proposal running on it? Are you going to buy it? Is that ballpark coming up? 3 questions, Mayor, for you, I'm sure. How about the ballpark? Have you done dropped that idea like the chickens?
Ms. Reed.
Nothing ever goes away at City Hall. I've got my eyes on the chicken. I got my eyes on the ballpark. Maybe you can answer me. Thank you.
Ms. Reed, we'll bring up the questions under 15AA about the software program, and we'll get back to you on the weeds and bushes and things. Mr. Jerry Cox.
Jerry Cox, 4029 Telstar Circle. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, as usual, first, as a veteran of the United States Army, I wish to respectfully acknowledge the 1 U.S. Army soldier and the 3 United States Marines killed in combat in Afghanistan in the last 2 weeks, 2 being 19 years old. At this time, I'd also like to praise Miss Jones. She's exactly right. If our soldiers are dying in Afghanistan at the age of 19, we shouldn't have kids dying on the streets of Huntsville at the age of 16 and 17 and 15. Thank you, Ms. Jones. TV Channel 48 reported yesterday on light rail discussions in Huntsville. This is very exciting to me. The service, not only though, should be between South Huntsville and downtown, but from northeast Madison County should also be in the discussion. And speaking of transportation, it is time to move from the discussion phase the expansion of the city shuttle bus system to Saturday service. This service would provide mass transportation to those who need it and to those who should use it. Mr. President, I see in the audience here a man is fixing to leave Huntsville, one of Channel 19's best reporters, Mr. Vinton. I've known Vinny since he came to my home many years ago to get a story about an automobile accident in my front yard. He got me out in the cold. I like to froze to death. But Vinny has done a great job for the people of Huntsville in his helping others, and Vinny, wish you well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Star Wary.
Mr. President, after she has spoken, could Mr. Brown give an update on public transit expansion?
Sure. Ms. Ware.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Private Investigator Star Wary. I live within the, whatever you want to call it, in Meadow Hills, where there's a lot of violence going on, where there are people that I can call by name that's very disrespectful, disorderly. You got 50-year-old drug dealers walking around with guns, knowing that they're felons. I've spoke with Jay, I've spoke with several other people, but I want to say thank you for what we have done in Meadow Hills. But for the 15, 14-year-olds that's walking around pulling guns and just out of order, just disrespectful, they need to be put in their place. And I mean, this is something that we really should address. This is a serious thing. Children getting shot. My son is 14, he had a gun pulled in his face no more than 3 weeks ago. I had a drive-by at my house. I live in Meadow Hills. So I took my kids out of the home for 6 months. The people don't care for me out there, the ones that's doing the wrong, the drug dealers, right across the street from me. They're getting away with things that they should not be able to get away with. Please, please, for God's sake, help save our children in Meadow Hills. We need you. Councilman Showers, we need you. We need to step it up. It's really bad out there. I live there. It's bad. We need to step it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Giles, could you come to the microphone, please? Could you please address the council and public on the recent activity, and you've heard some of the citizens' comments tonight?
We have noticed, of course, the increased violence, and what we're doing, we're addressing that through what we call special details. I just met with the North Precinct captain this morning. We're going to talk about it again tomorrow. We've also got some other things in the works as well that we can't go into, but the biggest thing, like Ms. Jones was talking about, the parental involvement and yourself is the biggest thing that can help us. But we'll do as much as we can on our part to
Chief, I'm sorry, they're having trouble hearing you. For the record, if you could raise the microphone. Thank you.
We, along with the parental involvement, and what we'll do everything that we possibly can to address this issue. But it's kind of like we said before, it's not something we can do by ourselves.
Okay. And what should citizens do if they suspect they see anything unusual in the neighborhood or can help in any way?
Well, obviously, if you like you were talking about the 14, 15-year-olds walking around with guns, obviously call us. But a lot of times when we go out to the neighborhood, they're not going to be flashing a weapon in front of us. But obviously, if you can call us and give us descriptions and so forth, we can certainly stop them and check them. And with that said, we need more involvement from the community in respect to people calling us and letting us know what's going on. Because obviously, when we're in that neighborhood and we're very visible, they're not going to be out flashing.
Okay. Council members, do you have any questions for Chief?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Showers?
I can appreciate the officer indicating what they're going to do. For the last 3 meetings, this has come up. And basically, we've been told the same thing. We're going to look into it, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and the citizens need to be involved. A lot of the citizens who are eager to report incidents, we have officers that come out and say to them there's nothing they can do, or if they can give them names, and then that's it. There are crimes being committed that we have officers come out and they won't take prints, they don't really investigate, or they ask them to just call them down at the precinct, and the element of crime continues. The citizens in my district, Mrs. Jones, who addressed us tonight royally, and I appreciate you coming, but all of our citizens have the same concern. We don't want anybody to think that crime is only happening in North Huntsville. It's happening all over the city. Shooting is taking place all over. Most of us don't want to talk about guns. Kenny, at some point, we're going to have to take these guns off the street. Now, some of you, Mr. Kling was here when we had this gun buyback, and we had stacks, tables full of guns that was turned in, and of course, the element was reduced. But there's too many guns in the hands of folk that do not need to have the guns in their hand. Chief Giles, I'm not jumping on you. I'm saying that we've got to do something to make citizens comfortable in this city, because they hear us every Thursday night say what we're going to do, these command groups, new groups, and the citizens in the North don't ever see these groups. We need presence. It is a statistical knowledge fact that where units are available, where our units are being seen in the neighborhoods where crime is, not just when somebody calls, but to be present. And I know your force is limited and having the number of officers to be everywhere at the same time. I get calls about units being parked in places that they should not be parked, when they could be patrolling neighborhoods, certain neighborhoods that have histories of the element of crime. And I don't know who's responsible for making sure that units are where they're supposed to be, but there are many times our units are really not in areas where they need to be. And certainly I hope that as we create these task forces to curtail the element of crime in Huntsville, that we can become more visible. A lot of these crimes are committed because they believe that we're not going to show up, we're not going to come. And when we do come, those who are out there, you're correct. They run and hide. And when you leave, they come right back out. In some kind of way, we've got to have a presence in all of these neighborhoods. North Huntsville and all the other areas, south, east, west. We just need more presence on that. Budget time is coming up, and if we're going to need to put more officers on the street, we need to do that.
Yes, and that's certainly that's one of the items we have on the agenda tonight. And you're correct, and we're all over the city, and we're at times when you see officers in certain locations, what you don't know is he may be finishing up a call, or he was responding there, or finishing up reports and whatnot. We would certainly have, every officer is assigned an area, and particularly Meadow Hills is certainly one of them. And we bear an officer's presence up there as often as we possibly can. But that officer is also responsible for the other areas he has to be pulled out to take calls as well. But I can assure you we're going to do everything we possibly can.
And I will tell you, Dr. Showers, I think you were out of town last week when we were talking about the budgets. In this year's budget, we're going to reflect some of that concern with adding some numbers to the police officers' ranks for patrol officers because we need to. We've got a bigger city now. We have more to control and more to work with and more to patrol. And that's one of the two items that we will be looking at. Redoing our retail quarters and redoing our and adding to our numbers of policemen are the only two items I think that we can afford to do in the budget, but they need to be our two priority items that we can do.
Further questions for Chief Giles? Mr. Brown, could you come down? Mr. Cox raised some questions about public transportation. Mr. Kling had asked for an update and a status, if you would be so kind.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Saturday service is certainly something that's on our radar. It's probably the #1 requested service when we do our customer surveys every year. Obviously, the issue is funding, and at this point, we're using all of our federal allocation of funding. We're in a fairly decent position in that we haven't had to cut service, we haven't raised fares. Most services have had to do that, so it's something we'd like to do when the funding's available.
Okay.
Is there any ballpark estimate as far as how much it would cost to implement it? How much money are you talking about?
Mr. Kling, our comprehensive operating analysis we completed last year had an estimate of about $500,000 to operate Saturday service, about $400,000 to $500,000. We'd have to take a closer look at it. You know, there's possibilities of running some lesser level of service, that kind of thing, but
is there a way that something like the tram buses could be used on a limited basis for Saturdays, just to start out or fill in the gap?
Well, I mean, we could certainly put any level of service on the street that you know, that we were directed to do if we had the funding to do it. But if you start out with a low level of service, then the ridership's not going to be there, and it's not going to serve people like it needs to. But
Mr. Brown, I'm going to raise this with the mayor. I know we get a lot of federal funding for this particular division. Mayor, do we have in our grant writers and our governmental representatives that represent our city are positioned to solicit grants, federal grants that would help transportation?
Yes, we do at this time, and Mr. Brown's crew is very, very adept at it. I'm signing grant applications all the time for them. We just passed on MPO yesterday the plan for this next year. We are putting about $1 million into our bus system, and the federal government's putting about $2.5 million. Is that about right?
Correct.
In there. That's our breakdown right now. We just came back from a meeting with the mayors from Montgomery, Mobile, Birmingham, and each of those have a much more extensive bus system, but each one of those are in further and further in debt, and it's costing them millions upon millions of dollars to run their bus systems each year. We run a bus system on the economical basis of what we can run it with the federal money that we can get. We do go after every edge of possible federal money to keep that bus system running. They've done a great job. We see a lot more ridership today than we saw in the past, but stretching that out puts us into the liability stage of, you know, less and less money's coming from the federal government nowadays, and you've just got to expect that. We can pick up the slack that's there on this present system. On a future system, if we expanded, we would have a hard time picking up that slack if the federal funding went away.
Thank you. Any more discussion or questions on transportation? Want to recognize Vinnie Blanton. As Mr. Cox said, Vinnie, if you go to the microphone. It's our chance to interview you tonight. Vinny, we want to thank you for your service here, and could you tell us what you're up to now?
I'm about to take a job at Birmingham at ABC 3340. So,
And why would you do that?
just the opportunity. I know Channel 19 is a better station, but I've been doing this for 6 years.
I'm joking with you. I'm joking with you.
As a former news reporter, that's congratulations. Birmingham is a top 40 market, and which is much bigger. And I know that in the broadcast media, I guess you always kind of shoot for going for a bigger market.
Right.
Me, I've kind of been in a way where you were as a Huntsville reporter, and I love this community. And of course, you can be like an Army general when you get done with the networks. Come back home.
Yeah.
Come back home and retire.
I'm down there. I signed up for its 3-year deal, so I'll be down there for a while. And I'll always come back to Huntsville. My church family's here, and I see some familiar faces here. So it's good seeing you guys. I hadn't seen you in a couple of years. So.
Mr. President, could we have Vinny come up so we could give him, everybody shake his hand and say thank you for
Thank you.
what
Come
he's
on
done.
up, Vinny.
Appreciate it.
Don't do that to Will. Good luck to you, buddy.
Wish you well.
Thank you.
We're looking for you on the networks.
Thank you, Mayor. That's a pleasure. I appreciate it.
All right.
Good to see you.
Remember, this is home.
I'll be out your hair.
We have no Huntsville utility items. We do have board appointments to be voted on. 9A1 is a resolution to reappoint Ronald Bowles to the Huntsville Electric Utility Board for a term to expire July 1st, 2017.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. Mr. Olszewski is recusing himself from this issue and abstaining from voting. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries with Mr. Olszewski abstaining. Mr. Olszewski will also abstain and recuse himself from 2 and 3. 2 is a resolution to reappoint Stanley Statham to the Huntsville Natural Gas Utility Board for a term to expire July 1st, 2017.
Move for approval. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries with Mr. Olszewski abstaining. 3 is a resolution to reappoint Stanley Statham to the Huntsville Water Utility Board for a term to expire July 1st, 2017.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries with Mr. Olszewski abstaining. 4 is a resolution to appoint John Gully to the Barrett Memorial Committee for a term to expire October 1st, 2016. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 5 is a resolution to appoint Mark Proslako to the Human Relations Commission of the City of Huntsville, Alabama, Place 4 for a term to expire September 22nd, 2014.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 6 is a resolution to reappoint Vicky Guerreri to the Huntsville Police Citizens Advisory Council for a term to expire June 22nd, 2016.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Olszewski, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 7 is a resolution to reappoint James Bailey to the Huntsville Police Citizens Advisory Council for a term to expire June 22nd, 2016.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Culver, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 8 is a resolution to reappoint Joseph A. Lee to the Downtown Redevelopment Authority for a term to expire July 26, 2020.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Dr. Showers, second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 9 is a resolution to appoint Dr. Edwinta Merriweather to the Human Relations Commission of the City of Huntsville, Alabama, Place 5 for a term to expire September 8, 2018.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Culver, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. We have a nomination of David Little for reappointment to the Huntsville Police Citizens Advisory Council for a term to expire July 8, 2016, made by the chair. We have a nomination of Pam Cobb for appointment to the Huntsville Police Citizens Advisory Council for a term to expire June 22, 2016, made by Mr. Kling. Are there other nominations? Hearing none, we're moving on to 10, approval of expenditures. 10A is a resolution authorizing expenditures for payment. Mr. Kling.
Mr. President, move for a payment of vouchers in the amount of $8,470,543.99.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Mr. Kling, do you have a Finance Committee report?
Mr. President, I'd like to yield the floor to Randy Taylor, Finance Director.
Council members, I would like to give you a brief update on one matter. We don't have any new numbers for you. We'll have those at the next meeting as far as sales tax and such goes. But I did want to update you on a debt refunding project that we're in the middle of. You know that we're always evaluating the debt that we have outstanding and whether or not the interest rates on that debt would be economically in our best interest to refund any of that. We do that on a fairly regular basis when the conditions are right and our policy objectives are met. We do have a requirement that says we have to save a certain amount of money. We're in that window now with some of the debt that is available to be refinanced that makes sense. So that number changes every week because interest rates change very often. And so I did want to let you know that we were in the middle of that right now, evaluating how we can save the city some money in that regard. We may have to bring a recommendation for you at the next council meeting. It really just depends on what the market's going to do and what kind of movement we have in that direction. So just be advised of that, but we'll bring a savings opportunity to you if it makes sense.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Kling?
No, Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Battle?
Mr. President, for the record, I'd like to announce the following appointments. The appointment of Jennifer Nelson to the Planning Commission of the City of Huntsville for a term to expire 10/26/2015. The reappointment of Brenda Martin to the Huntsville-Madison County Convention and Visitors Bureau for a 4-year term to expire April 11th, 2018. The reappointment of Willie Love to the Huntsville City Citizens Police Advisory Council for a 2-year term to expire July 8th, 2016. The reappointment of Ruben Flores to the Huntsville City Citizens Police Advisory Council for a 2-year term to expire July 8th, 2016. Also, there's a lot of activities going on. If anybody was around last weekend, there was a street festival in Church Street. There was NASA on the Square. Green Street Market and Thursday Night Bikes is taking place as I speak tonight up on the Square and at the Green Street Market site across from Church of the Nativity. Concerts in the parks for June 30th. The performers are Mambo Grease Grease, the Latin band, the Dawn Osborne band, and a soulful jazzy Americana band. So bring your chairs out, your picnic baskets, and come out and have fun. We've been having huge crowds out there each night, and it's been a lot of fun. And then also Downtown Live from Cumulus on the Square on Fridays from 5 to 7 in the Entertainment District. Come down, you'll hear music. You can get something to eat, but you can enjoy being downtown and seeing your neighbors and seeing friends. Just a great way to spend an evening, and that's part of a community. That's part of being part of a community, is doing all that. So we hope everybody comes out and enjoys themselves, and that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Showers?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to announce that on the 27th, tomorrow, Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church will have its 11th annual scholarship banquet. Anthony Plenty, a minister, will be the speaker for that occasion. Mr. Hamilton, can you tell us tonight when open house is for the North Precinct?
Dr. Showers, I do not have that date off the top of my head, but I can, Kirk, do you have that date? Open house for North Precinct? We'll get that identified and get it to you, Dr. Showers.
Okay, thank you very much. That will be well appreciated. The Davis family reunion is coming up certainly in July, and of course at that time we will be presenting a resolve on behalf of the mayor and the city council. That's going to be all I'm going to have for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Showers. Mr. Olszewski.
And as always, I appreciate, Jerry, you updating us on our soldiers and Marines, airmen, and all the great Americans that fight our wars. I want to thank a few folks tonight. Brother, Mr. Steiner, who's working real close with my guys in dangling wires, dangling cables, all the above. I think we got a pretty good plan to help us with that, and I do appreciate it. I wrote you back on that. That's a big deal. At least in my community, it's a big deal. So I appreciate you doing that. Joy, as always, I thank you for cleaning something that you didn't want to clean. So appreciate it. Okay. You helped out. You helped an elderly man who's been cleaning that ditch for years, and he can't hardly walk now. And I appreciate you taking care of me on that. And Kathy, I appreciate you helping me have Joy do that for me too. Will you? So, and you deserve that one, Miss Joy, because you asked me to get her involved. So. As the police, I appreciate all the comments on that, and I have my share of problems there as well, and I think you're doing the best you can for where I'm at. But I do want to give you a positive here as well. I'm having some speeding issues and some roads, and Captain Corey Harris has helped me with that. And it's a big deal. It's it's one of those roads that you can't put speed humps up, and there's some pretty sizable downward movement, and some guys doing some pretty good turns. And Corey's been great, and I want to make sure he gets the word that I appreciate him taking care of me on that. I usually don't do this, but I got to shout out to somebody because I got a family living with me right now that's an Army lieutenant colonel who's just moving to our community. Only been here one time. Bought a home in Hampton Cove. He's heard about it, fell in love with the place. Is going to do a year here and retire. And they're at my house. So that's Matt, Lieutenant Colonel Matt Williams, his wife Melanie, and they got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, and I know they're watching. And it's Alex and Evan, and they're great kids. If you think about an Army career, this group started in 2007. They did 3 years in Hawaii where Dad was deployed twice to the war. Then he went to Germany for 3 years, and then they went to Korea to command his battalion in Korea. So if you think about a soldier in our forces today, he hadn't been in continental United States since 2007. So, and I appreciate them being with us, and I know they're going to love our city. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Culver.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of quick things. Ms. Jones, thank you so kindly for your comments this evening. And Mr. President, I know you may have noticed, but we have Ms. Laurie McCauley, school board representative, here with us tonight. And I don't know if you want to say anything, but I'll certainly defer some of my time to you. Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you so kindly. And everyone have a happy 4th of July, but let's keep in mind that the purpose of Independence Day, I think about people like my colleague here, John, and everybody else who has, gone to war and has served this country well. So as we celebrate and enjoy the freedoms that we are enjoying, religious worship and all of the other things associated with being an American, let's think about the families, the men and women who fought and died to make that possible. That's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you so kindly, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Kling.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I want to extend a laurel and a hearty handshake to Mr. Kenneth Binion from Community Development. We deal with a lot of challenging issues up here, and one of the things that just really opened up my eyes and just was a great thing for the neighborhood was something Mr. Binion had been working on. The infamous 300 Sunset Avenue, which had been sort of the jungle house of the neighborhood for well over 10 years. And I know Mr. Binion and his staff have been working that for several years, and I think just over the weekend of last week, what took place as a result of the work and the communication that he'd had with the property owner, the attorney, and everything was just amazing. I know there's still a work in progress going on over there, but Mr. Binion, I just want to tell you thanks, because that was a great thing, and I know we deal with challenges up here, but when something like this was a breakthrough, I just want to really just tell you publicly, thank you on behalf of the neighborhood. They really appreciate, and I do too, the hard work and you and your staff people did to make that happen. I know you're still working on the actual structure, but it's a phenomenally great improvement, and very much appreciate that. Also, a couple of things going on in Mayor. I think I can give you some competition for the band for concert in the park that you had mentioned. Saturday is going to be the Pesky Piranha Youth Triathlon. Try saying that twice publicly. But that's something that the Piedmont Recreation Association is putting on for young people between the ages of 7 and 14. And Gia Schultz recruited me to be a volunteer out there Saturday morning. So I'll be there, and I'll be looking forward to seeing all those great participants. This is the second annual event. It was done last year, and it was a great event, great feedback, and they're expanding it. So again, I'm looking forward to participating in the Pesky Piranha Youth Triathlon. Also going on this weekend, Whitesburg Baptist Church is holding the I Love America celebration, and it's a great thing, especially as Councilman Culver mentioned, gives us a chance to kind of seriously look at the 4th of July and what it means to us, and to pay homage for those and the values that we have at this country, and that's very much appreciated, that the church does that for the community. Saturday, the Merrimack Joe Bradley reunion is going to be going on at the Fraternal Order of Eagles. This is an event that takes place where people from all over the country come back to visit the old Merrimack neighborhood and the community and renew friendships. It's always a lot of fun going out there, and I'm looking forward to that. And as a benefit, they're going to be having a tour of some of the restored homes in the Merrimack neighborhood for the out-of-town visitors. And appreciate the great work that Craig McDade and the others have done to make that event happen. And I guess one other thing I want to wave a flag about, I don't know if Mr. Hatfield is here or not. Joy, maybe you could relay it to him. There's a gentleman I sent an email about who lives on Hobbs Road. He's very disabled, and in fact, we almost lost him a couple of weeks ago. And he's got some carpet scraps that are behind his house, and given his disability, I just wanted to ask if they could go over to make that pickup, given the condition, and this would be a one-time deal. But if you would, I think he's got the email on it. Maybe you could just kind of relay that. I hadn't had a chance to hear from him, but it's Mr. Hartman over on Hobbs Road. And, Mr. President, that's all I have. I hope everybody has a great 4th of July. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kling, and I want to echo some of Mayor Battle's comments. It was a busy weekend here last week. Last week, we had many events. One of the best events was Friday night down on Huntsville, had 20 food trucks on Church, and we had about 7,500 people downtown for a free event. It was really nice, well attended, had a great family atmosphere, and they followed it up Saturday morning by having working with NASA to have NASA on the Square. And if there's ever an event that will make your community proud, NASA on the Square would do it. We had scientists sitting in chairs explaining what they did in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and now. We talked about how important NASA was to the past of Huntsville and how important it's going to be to the future. They talked about dancing in the streets when the first satellite was launched and man landed on the moon, and what a historic event that was. And then they talked about just imagine how Huntsville will dance when man lands on Mars. And so it was a very great event. That was Saturday morning. We had about 4,500 people. So I want to congratulate downtown Huntsville and those that make that go. They do a great job. Also, I want to congratulate all the volunteers that worked in our Little League program, Parks and Rec, this year. Having done a little bit of that, watching how much effort they put into all our parks. They're volunteer run. The city does some things, and we do good, but there's a lot of volunteers involved with that. And Saturday I was able to go to Mayfair Park and watch the All-Star Tournament, and I couldn't get over how many volunteers were needed to run that tournament. And so I just really want to say thank you to that group. This Friday, the Hammers are playing, and hopefully we'll have a good attendance at that game. And I want to thank and congratulate Mayor Battle. Many people don't understand what the mayor's job is, and I'm not sure I fully understand it, but he runs a huge city and has 2,400 employees, and there's things going on every second of the day, and I'm sure he has full-time worries. But this Saturday he had a family reunion, and he said his wife was going to be his biggest worry if he didn't go to the family reunion. And so he asked me to go do some of his events, and I can't get over how many events he has in such a short amount of time. It really tires me out. So Mayor Battle, we thank you for all that you do for us. It goes unseen and nobody mentions it, but we know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Dr. Showers?
Yes, I'd be remiss if I failed to call out two names. Terry Hatsfield, I'm not sure he's here, Joe is here, for what they do for our city. I mentioned last week about the debris that was on the ground in North Huntsville and how these teams, Terry Hatsfield and Joey, and their men and women who worked for them, took care of that debris. And I just want to personally thank them again. Mr. Hatsfield, on Pulaski Pike, at the site where the new school is going, there's been some debris dumped on the west side, right at that particular spot. It's been piled up. I don't know where it came from. It looks like it's roots. But anyway, if we could get by tomorrow or Saturday to get that, certainly would help us. I also, Mr. Hatsfield, I failed to call you today on Glen Park in Vanola. There is a grass area that we've been keeping cut, and it has grown up over knee high at that particular area of Glen Park and Vanola, right there near the post office on Master Lake. And my final is a question, Mr. President, to whoever. Who is the person that needs to be contacted when the truck businesses want to be a part of the downtown festivities in terms of their business? I've gotten several calls from the ice shaving businesses and their ability to participate when these other trucks are selling all the good food, and they want to know how they might cash in on the activities with their ice crushing machine trucks.
Dr. Showers, you talking about just getting a business license or talking to downtown Huntsville to get involved in the
Yes,
food truck?
they basically want to have an invitation. They don't just come down here, but is it someone that needs to be contacted before they participate in these groups?
Yeah, we need to go to the Clerk-Treasurer's office, make sure they're
Yeah.
able to do business in the city of Huntsville.
Yeah, we'll check and make sure that if they contact us, we'll make sure that they can do business downtown with whichever activity is going on, and we can explain that to them. We'll be glad to.
Okay, I guess I've had more calls from the ice shaving businesses. Is there any element about what they do that's different from the rest of the food
No, sir.
vendors?
No, sir.
But there were shaved ice booths at the Friday night food trucks.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll be
Mr.
glad to help.
Davis.
Dr. Showers, also, if they're wanting to be part of the summer series of the food truck rallies that's having every third Friday, if they would contact Downtown Huntsville Incorporated, Mr. Chad Emerson, he can get them in that rotation with the other food trucks that are downtown during those events.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Hamilton, could I ask you to get an appointment for me with Dennis Mason as soon as possible, as it relates to economic development in North Huntsville?
Okay, anything else?
Thank you so much.
13A is a resolution number 14-346 revoking that certain license agreement between the City of Huntsville and Dwight Wright approved by resolution number 13-568 on July 25th, 2013. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Council members, I know you're getting tired of this issue. I would ask that we postpone it until the next regular council meeting, July 10th. This will give us an opportunity to come up with a written agreement between two parties. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. All those in favor of postponement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. We have no new business items for introduction. We're now at 15 new business items for consideration or action. Keep in mind 15B and C have been deleted. The chair holds 15AA, which was the program that we talked about earlier. Are there any other items you'd like to hold? Council members, are there any other items you'd like to hold?
Mr. President, I would like to hold 15A.
15A. Right now we have 15A and 15AA. Are there any other items? Hearing none. 15D is a resolution authorizing the clerk-treasurer to invoke Progress Bank letter credit number 90000008900-02 for Midtown on the Park Phase 2 subdivision. E is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute investment management agreement with Regions Bank for the city's post-retirement benefit trust. F is a resolution authorizing the mayor to agreement with low bidders meeting specifications outlined in the attached summary of bids for acceptance. G is a resolution authorizing acceptance of donations. H is ordinance to amend budget ordinance number 13-630 by changing the authorized personnel strength in the various departments and funds. I is ordinance to amend budget ordinance number 13-630 by changing appropriating funding for various departments and funds. J is a resolution authorizing the mayor to agreement between the City of Huntsville and API Digital to provide dual internet services bandwidth. K is a resolution authorizing the mayor to cost reimbursement with the Northeast Alabama Traffic Safety Office in the amount of $2,500 for traffic enforcement duties. L is a request for authorization to fill the budget of vacant police officer positions to provide for authorized strength. M is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter consulting agreement with the City of Huntsville and James Samambo. N is a resolution authorizing the mayor to a license agreement with Bice Farms, Inc. for the lease of farmland located in the vicinity of Mooresmill Road at Vintage Park subdivision. O is a resolution authorizing the mayor to a lease agreement with McDonald Farms for the lease of farmland in Cummings Research Park. P is a resolution authorizing the mayor to agree into a lease agreement with McDonald's Farm for the lease of farmland in the Greenbrier area. Q is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter a renewal land lease agreement with Alan Wade Murphy and Kathleen Murphy for the lease of farmland in the vicinity of the Western Area Treatment Plant. R is a resolution authorizing the mayor to an agreement with the low bidder Pro Electric Inc. for Bid Spring Park East colored light installation, project number 6514 SP18. S is a resolution authorizing the mayor to agreement with Brown and Caldwell for engineering hydraulic modeling services for additional letter of map revision and letter of map revision submittals for Lake 5 at Research Park West, project number 6514 DR02. T is a resolution authorizing the mayor to modify the agreement with J.C. Cheek Contractors, Inc. for periodic bid for traffic striping and marking 2012, project number 6512 SP33 by modification number 2. U is a resolution authorizing the mayor to modify the agreement with Weaver Environmental Services Company, Inc. for periodic bid for emergency manhole rehabilitation, project number 6513 SP35 by modification number 1. V is a resolution authorizing water pollution control to advertise and fill the budgeted vacant position of water pollution control facilities technician grade 13 at a higher than minimum if necessary. W is a resolution authorizing the mayor into an agreement with Standard and Associates, Inc. to develop and administer the written exam for the position of fire captain. X is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter agreement with Electron Systems and Software for rental of electronic voting counting machines and the automark coding to be used August 26, 2014, the municipal election, and any municipal runoff election on October 7, 2014. Y is ordinance appointing the election officials for the August 26, 2014 City of Huntsville, Alabama municipal election, and if one is needed, the October 7, 2014 City of Huntsville runoff election. Z is a resolution authorizing the mayor to agreement between the City of Huntsville and Pitney Bowes, Inc. for e-return receipt services with DM services and Connect mailing system. Double B is a request for authorization to advertise and fill 2 landscape maintenance worker positions. The chair moves for consolidation approval of 15D through Z and 15 double B.
Mr. President, I would ask if we could reconsider and hold item 15W.
Okay, the chair moves for consolidation approval of 15D through 15V and 15X through 15Z and 15 double B.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. All those in favor of consolidation approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 15A is a resolution authorizing the city attorney to seek forfeiture of the cash bond issued to William Smothers. Is there a motion?
Move to discuss.
I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Mr. Gelfand?
Members of the council, this is a fairly routine item when a taxpayer who is engaged in the sale of alcoholic beverages fails to pay the liquor taxes.
Each of those licensees is required to post a bond upon issuance of the license. In this case, the amount of the bond was $8,000. The amount of the taxes owed exceeds that amount, and it's common practice for us to invoke that bond in order to recover taxes that are owed to the city of Huntsville when they haven't been paid.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Yes.
Dr. Showers.
Mr. President, when that happens, the amount of taxes that are owed, if circumstances has created the problem, once the action is taken by this council, does that vendor still have to pay taxes?
Oh, sure. If they're still licensed to do business in the city, the licensee would have to pay taxes. We would recover $8,000 of that amount owed from the bonding company, and then the balance owed would still be owed to the city of Huntsville. It would not be a debt that would be relieved, but we would not recover double the amount. I mean, we wouldn't recover twice, if that's the question.
That is the question. Thank you, sir.
Further discussion? Call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. 15W is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter agreement with Standard and Associates, Inc. to develop and administer the written examination for the position of fire captain.
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Showers, a second by Mr. Culver. Chief McFarland, could you explain this, please?
Yes, sir. This is where we have a roster of eligible candidates to be promoted to fire captain. Our current roster will run out around August 1st, and we're trying to go ahead and get this approved so we can give the test so we have a current roster for promotions as they become necessary.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Showers, did you have questions?
Yes. So this is not the first time that you have used a standardized test to get a list of prospective fire persons for the fire captain's list.
No, sir. This is a continuation of the same program we've used for the last several years. We just want to be sure we've got a standing roster if we have to make promotions.
Thank you very much.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. 15AA is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute agreement with Tyler Technologies, Inc. for the purchase and implementation of financial and human resources software. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Council members, this was a program we discussed earlier. Are there questions?
Yes. Mr. President, I just want to ask ITS if there were other participating contractors who submitted bids to get this particular work other than Tyler Technology.
Oh, absolutely, sir. And I think Mr. Taylor had offered up a list of what we did throughout the process and how we evaluated. There were a number of people that bid.
Were there any local submissions?
No, not to my knowledge. No, local. No, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Taylor, I have questions for you. Could you tell us the cost, please?
The contract that's before you, council members, is a $1.5 million contract. It represents about $1 million for the software itself and about $450,000 worth of implementation services and data conversion services. So that we'll purchase the software, and we'll do that in phases, and then some of that money will be withheld until we have a successful implementation, a go live of that new software, and then the services that we will pay them will be for them to help us implement it and to design our system, and that will be paid incrementally as they deliver those services, with a portion of it again to be held until the project is successful. So 25% of the software costs, so $250,000, and 10% of the services, so approximately another $50,000, will be held until we have a successful project.
Mr. Taylor, what is the benefit to the citizens? What might they expect from this?
Well, number one, Councilman, first and foremost, is that the city's got to replace the system. The systems that we have are outdated, and they have difficulty running because of the technology that they operate within. It costs the citizens more money than they need to spend operating this old system. We have too many people and too much paper and other resources that are consumed by the system. So there's people's time that we can better use to be helping make decisions for the city as opposed to just pushing paper and operating processes. So those are two things. The other thing is that our payroll and human resources software, people are our most important resource. We know that. That's what we spend most of our money on. The system that we have is a good system, but it's also outdated, and it will cost us a lot of money to upgrade it. We're choosing to upgrade it in this consolidated manner. So it will improve our ability to do that, make it much more efficient, require less people, less paper over time to do it, and give you as managers of the city the information you need, and then all levels of management in the city more information to know what's going on day to day in the city, as the mayor described.
And Ms. Rita brought up the question, will it tell us how to spend? And I know the answer to that, but what might it tell us?
It'll tell us what we spend our money on and where it comes from, and lots of things related to that. It's not going to make the decisions of what we should spend it on. So we will never propose a machine that will do that for us. That's what we want to actually free our people up to have more time to do, is those kinds of things.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Mr.
Mr. Oshevsky, then we'll go Mr. Kling. We'll go down the line.
All right. There's a couple of us that's lived through change a lot, and I'm all about it. I think this is great. But what I'm going to share with you is, and I'm assuming that you know this, Randy, and I'm sure John knows this down there at the end. One of the biggest problems we have is when we're bringing a new, first of all, when you're going live. I mean, when is it no kidding you say the old system's gone and new system's in?
We are intending to replace the financial system. We'll arrange that immediately with the vendor, but the first goal is to replace the core financial system on October 1st of 2015. Okay. So about 14 months after we start the process in August. And the payroll system will go live on January the 1st, 2016.
Okay. So we have time. The issue we always have, though, in the world I grew up in, is you got two things going on at the same time. I mean, you're still running your day-to-day operation. You still got to run this crappy old system, and you still got to do all that stuff, while at the same time you're training on all the new stuff. And I just want to make sure you heard. I mean, I feel like I owe it to you to say that ain't easy to do both things. I mean, you're already busy as it is. So now you bring in a new, and what happens to, at least I can share that from a soldier perspective, soldiers are so big into getting their daily job done. The training piece doesn't seem to kick in as well. And then when we're finally there, we're not all there, is what I'm trying to get at. I think this is wonderful, but I just hope and pray that you got a great plan laid out on the training aspect of it. It does take time, and you have to give the people time to train while they're still doing their day job. And I'm just throwing that as guidance, that's all.
We do understand that, Councilman. It's we've not done it in this comprehensive a fashion in a very long time here. The payroll project that we did 12 or 13 years ago was similar in that regard. It required a lot of time, and so it's going to be a difficult project. We would go live tomorrow if we could, but we know that's not practical, and the schedule that I just proposed to you we're working that out with the vendor. They've done this many times, and they are building into that schedule the opportunity for us to do all those things. But we're going to go live right. We're not going to go live early. So.
Mr. Kling?
Is there going to be any protection that puts a cap on the amount that this is going to cost, that we're not going to have any glitches where we have to go out and hire additional software to repair the new software, similar to what we had with Huntsville Utilities a couple of years ago?
That's a good question, Councilman. We have built that into the contract as best we can. We know there's going to be things we run into that are unexpected, but we've spent the last 5 months of this year fully evaluating the vendors that made our short list and even more closely with Tyler. We've been several rounds of very specific questions about the way we do things now at the city, some of which have to stay that way, and we've had them communicate to us clearly what they will do in their product to make sure it works that way. So we're very confident about what we've been through and what the contract represents, our ability to do those things. So we are not expecting any of that. That has not been the track record with Tyler and their other customers. They provide us references. We've visited some. We've talked to many of them. And that has not been their experience. And that's really, I think, a credit to all the people that have been involved, the questions, the dialogue we've had with them in the contract that's before you. So it wouldn't surprise us to see some change, but it's not going to be significant based on the work we've done now.
So it's possible that there might be like a small tune-up contract amendment or something that could come up somewhere down the line. But it
It's
would be a
possible. We've built
very
enough
small
money into the
percent.
contract, we think, to meet our needs. So if we have changes, it'll be like the change orders you see on other contracts. It'll be within the budget that we've established.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Dr. Showers?
Mr. Taylor,
Yes, sir.
the training aspect of this program, Tyler, would they be the one to train our employees on the new technology?
Yes, sir. They will be the trainers. They will actually train our training specialists. The model is referred to as a train the trainer. So they will train us, and then we will train all of the other people in the city that will use it in different ways. But it will be Tyler. They are when they do an implementation, they only allow their team to provide implementation services, so that the people who make the software can do it right, and they are the only ones who will train.
Second and final question from me. The technology, the equipment that we're going to be getting replaced, do we have any buyers, smaller municipalities that can use that equipment?
There's, I'd have to defer to Mr. Steiner on that, Councilman. We're planning to buy some additional computer hardware that we were planning to buy anyway, just because of the way in which they have this running. But I'd have to ask Mr. Steiner what the market is for some of the equipment that they will no longer be using.
Dr. Showers, a lot of the hardware that it's running on now can actually be reused for other things if it's not too old, and most of it's not too old. Now the software licensing of, say, for example, the Mapper and the PeopleSoft pieces, they could be transferable. We'll see if there's a market, but as we said earlier, Mapper being very, very old versions, and PeopleSoft, we got stuck at another very, very old version. Probably not going to be worth a whole lot, but we'll certainly look into it.
Thank you.
Mr. Culver, did you have questions? Further discussion?
Mr. President, if I could step into this and say to Mr. Taylor, thank you for the job that you've done. He and his team have worked countless hours to pull this together and pull it together right. He came to me 6 months ago and started talking about bringing in someone who could push this project through and make sure that this project, to be a project lead on that, it was Carlos Bowden. He has put together a team. They've been through, they put a request for proposals out. They went through numerous proposals and then had oral presentations by 3 or 4 vendors, I believe it was, up in the mayor's office, and they have been working endless hours trying to make sure that this happens, and as it happens in the right way, and that the city is protected, and making sure also that we got we were the best financial stewards of our money, and they've done a great job. And Mr. Taylor, to you and your team, say thank you. Y'all have done a fantastic job with this.
Thank you, Mayor, and I do have to recognize the other departments, and I failed to recognize Peter Joffrion and his staff. They helped us put together the contract that you have tonight that protects the city's interests. So,
Thank you. Further discussion before we vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries.
thank you.
Thank you. We have no legal department item transactions. We're at 17, non-roster communications from the public. If you'd like to address the council, please go to the microphone. Mr. Hennessy, you'll be first.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Walt Hennessy, 10,002 Hogan Drive, 35803. First of all, I'd like to commend and extend the appreciation for putting on the first Citizens Academy down at Ditto Landing. That turned out to be a huge success. It was nice to see hundreds of people come together from South Huntsville and share their dreams of what they thought Ditto Landing could be. And it broke out into work sessions, and it was just amazing to see the ideas that were put on paper to transform Ditto Landing into a jewel of the South. So I'd like to extend the appreciation to the mayor and Dennis Madsen for their leadership in putting that together. Second of all, the spay-neuter clinic. We've been officially closed, but as I mentioned at one of the other meetings, we have a grant whereby we've got funds available to give vouchers to low-income people that have dogs that need to be fixed. And we've had that program going now for 20 days, and in conjunction with working with Flint River Animal Hospital, we have fixed over 127 dogs. Now, to give you the dynamics of that,
and this is just using numbers, but one female dog and one male dog and their offspring can produce 67,000 puppies over a 6-year period. So this dovetails into the no-kill presentation that we heard earlier this evening. This supports the no-kill goal that Huntsville has, and I commend you for adopting that as a priority for the city, and I wish that the best of luck. But the Fixing Fido program, if anybody has a dog that needs to be fixed, we have these vouchers available. We have plenty of money left, and we're going to be using that money to alter animals until the money runs out. We're in the process of looking to get reopened. We're looking for interviewing veterinarians or personnel to become associated with the clinic, and we hope to be open soon. So that's an update on the spay-neuter clinic, and if anybody has an animal that they need to be fixed, they can call the clinic, and we'll see about getting it fixed. The phone number is 256-348-8741. And I thank you for allowing us to address the council tonight, and I hope everybody has a great 4th of July. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Reed?
I'll make it quick. I want to thank you, President Mark Russell, for the kind words that you had to say about the mayor. And I want to thank all of you for the respect you've given me, no matter how hard I beat on you and pound on you. You've always been respectful, and I really, really appreciate it. I do, over the years.
But
now wait a minute, but. No, I was going to talk about that computer news. I really appreciate Mr. Taylor. I have the confidence that he can handle and do everything he's going to do. I trust him wholeheartedly, and I can't say that about a lot of things, but I do. I think he's going to handle this very well. But you're right. The budget, we need more police officers, more police cars, maybe a street sweeper or two, 4% raise for the city employees. Think about it when you start putting that computer together and that budget together. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
You too. Ms. McCauley?
Yes, this is Laura McCauley, and I 4002 Glendale Lane. I rose to give you thanks for the wonderful partnership for you and I, not me, with Hunt City Schools. We feed over 4,000 kids breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I want to thank you for the free shuttle bus passes. My parents have been raving about that. It gave them the opportunity to get their children to one of our feeding sites. And I want to just thank you, the city of Huntsville, for all you do, because our children are our most prized possession. And thank you for feeding them, because if they're hungry, it's a challenge for them to learn. We're trying to break the chain of poverty, so making sure that they can learn and they can go and do better things and make Huntsville a better place. And thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the council?
Move to adjourn. Mr. President, I'm sorry.
Mr. Culver would like to.
One more thing. I'm sorry, Councilman Clean. Just a quick thing. Mr. Hamilton, it was reported to me that one of the businesses in District 5, namely Walgreens at University in Jordan, has an issue with a drainage cover that might be hazardous to people maybe walking through the parking lot. And if we can address that. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. Anything else? We're adjourned.